If a teacher looked you in the eyes when you were 14 years old and lied about you in front of everyone you knew, what would you do? Would you cry? Would you scream? Would you accept it and try to move on? Or would you spend the next 10 years of your life becoming the one thing that could destroy her? Because that is exactly what Marcus Rivera did. And the day he finally got his answer, he didn't raise his voice. He didn't lose his temper. He didn't need to. He had the evidence, and she had nothing left. This story begins in 2009 in a small town called Ridgefield, Connecticut. Marcus Rivera was 14 years old, freshman year, straight-A student, captain of the junior debate team. He had just been offered a partial academic scholarship to a private prep school that would have changed the trajectory of his entire life. His English teacher was a woman named Karen Ellsworth. She had been teaching at Ridgefield High for 22 years. She was the head of the English department. She organized the school talent show every year. She was on the PTA board. Parents loved her. Students respected her. The administration considered her untouchable. And in November of 2009, she told the principal that Marcus Rivera had threatened her with physical violence in her classroom. She said he had stood up during class, walked toward her desk, leaned in close, and said, "If you fail me, I will make you regret it." She said she felt threatened for her safety. She said she feared for her life. She filed a formal complaint. She filed a police report. Marcus Rivera said it never happened. He said he had asked Mrs. Ellsworth after class about a grade on his essay. He said she told him the grade was final. He said he thanked her and left the room. That was it. No threat, no confrontation, no raised voice. But it was a teacher's word against a 14-year-old's word. And in 2009, in a town like Ridgefield, that was no contest at all. Within 48 hours, Marcus was suspended. Within 1 week, the suspension became an expulsion hearing. Within 2 weeks, the private prep school that had offered him the scholarship withdrew the offer. His parents hired a lawyer. They couldn't afford one, but they borrowed money from Marcus's grandmother. The lawyer told them the same thing everyone else was telling them. It's a tenured teacher with 22 years of service versus a 14-year-old boy. Even if you're right, you can't win this. Marcus was expelled from Ridgefield High School. The expulsion went on his permanent academic record. He enrolled in a public school in the next town where nobody knew him, where he had no friends, no debate team, no scholarship, where he started over with the word expelled stamped on his transcript like a scar. For the next 4 years of high school, Marcus kept his head down. He didn't talk about what happened. He didn't tell his new classmates. He didn't tell anyone. He worked. He studied. He graduated with a 3.8 GPA from a school that nobody had heard of. He applied to college with an expulsion on his record. Most schools rejected him. One didn't. A small state university in New Jersey accepted him on academic probation. Marcus majored in political science. Then he applied to law school. His application essay was 1 page long. It said, "When I was 14 years old, a person in authority lied about me, and no one believed me. I am applying to law school because I want to make sure that when someone lies about a child, the truth has a voice that is louder than power." He was accepted. 3 years later, Marcus Rivera passed the bar exam on his first attempt. He didn't apply to a corporate firm. He didn't chase money. He didn't move to New York or Washington. He went home. He took a job as a junior prosecutor in the district attorney's office of Fairfield County, Connecticut, the county that included Ridgefield. And then he began to investigate. Not officially. Not at first. On his own time. On weekends. After work. He filed Freedom of Information requests for disciplinary records at Ridgefield High School. What he found made his hands shake. In the 22 years Karen Ellsworth had been teaching, she had filed formal complaints against 14 students. 14. In every single case, the student was a person of color. In every single case, the allegation involved threatening or aggressive behavior. In every single case, the student was suspended or expelled. And in not one single case was there a witness to the alleged incident. Marcus Rivera was not her only victim. He was number 11. With this pattern established, Marcus brought the evidence to the district attorney. The DA authorized a formal investigation. Investigators interviewed 9 of the 14 former students. 7 agreed to provide sworn testimony. Their stories were almost identical. Each one described a scenario where they had a minor disagreement with Mrs. Ellsworth, a grade dispute, a late assignment, a question she didn't like. And each one described being called to the principal's office the next day, told that Mrs. Ellsworth had filed a complaint alleging threatening behavior. Each one said it never happened. One former student, a woman named Danielle Carter, who had been expelled in 2003 at age 15, told investigators that the expulsion had derailed her life for years. She had struggled to find a school that would accept her. She eventually dropped out. She got her GED at 21. She didn't attend college until she was 28. She said, "I was 15. I asked her why I got a C. The next morning I was in the principal's office, being told I had threatened a teacher. My mother believed them. My own mother believed the school over me. That was the part that broke me." The school district was served with a subpoena for all records relating to Karen Ellsworth's complaints. And here is what they found. The former principal, a man named Donald Jeffries, who had retired in 2016, had documented concerns about Ellsworth's complaint pattern in an internal memo dated 2011. The memo stated, "And I have noted that Mrs. Ellsworth's formal complaints disproportionately target minority students. I recommend an internal review before further action is taken on future complaints." The memo was filed. No review was ever conducted. No action was ever taken. The memo sat in a cabinet for 8 years while 3 more students were expelled. Donald Jeffries was charged with dereliction of duty and failure to report suspected discriminatory conduct. Karen Ellsworth was charged with 14 counts of filing false reports, 14 counts of fraud, 7 counts of civil rights violations, and 1 count of obstruction of justice. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The prosecution called all 7 former students. One by one, they told their stories. One by one, they described the same pattern. Same classroom, same teacher, same lie. The defense argued that Ellsworth was a dedicated educator who had genuinely felt threatened and that the complaints were legitimate. The jury did not believe her. On a Tuesday morning in March of 2020, the verdict was read. Guilty on all counts. Karen Ellsworth was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Her teaching license was permanently revoked. The school district agreed to a settlement of $4.7 million to be distributed among the 14 former students. Marcus Rivera was in the courtroom that day. He was not the lead prosecutor. He had recused himself from the case due to personal involvement. But he was there, sitting in the gallery, watching the woman who had destroyed his childhood hear the word guilty 36 times. A reporter approached him outside the courthouse. She asked him how he felt. He said one thing. "When I was 14, she took my voice. She made me silent. She made everyone believe I was something I was not. I spent 10 years building a voice that she could never take again." This verdict is not revenge. Revenge is loud. This is something quieter. This is a 14-year-old boy, 10 years later, finally being believed. 14 students, 22 years of lies. One teacher who believed she was untouchable. And one boy who decided at 14 years old that he would come back. And he did. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to Ashes of Trust.